Tua Tagovailoa, the pride of Alabama. Well, originally the pride of Hawaii, but he agrees to a 4-year contract worth $212 million, $212.4 million, which includes $167 million guaranteed. Now, in Wisconsin, Jordan Love, feeling the love from Green Bay. He agrees to a $220 million deal, which includes a $75 million signing bonus, like you've won the lottery, and that's payable by the end of the year. $75 million. Is that going to affect the price of the stock in Green Bay? I don't know. $155 million in new guaranteed money handed over to Jordan Love. So there's interesting things about both of these moves. We're going to start at Lambeau Field, though. That's where we're going to start. And the question is, why did the Packers pay Jordan Love all of that money? Why did they pay Jordan Love all that money? So I've got Howie Mandel, Dr. Seuss, and Barbershop. And we can combine all of those things together, and we are going to make a handshake. Everyone in the room is distracted. No bells, no whistles. So, number one. Oh, they woke up. All right, so listen, here's the deal. The Packers box themselves into a corner. There's no other way to say it when it comes to Jordan Love. Green Bay did something that is not Green Bay-like. It's out of character for that franchise. If you look at the franchise charter, this is not the kind of move that they normally make, right? They caved in part to public opinion, social media pressure, and all that. And normally they have not operated like this. Jordan Love, while things are looking up for Jordan Love, if you were being a grown-up, you would say he's still in the beta testing phase, and yet he got paid. He got paid massive amount of money and all that stuff, and will the real Jordan Love stand up? Because I remember doing the TV show last year, and Jordan Love at midseason, after 8 games, had 12 touchdown passes and 8 interceptions. And unless I'm mistaken, in a primetime game at Lambeau Field, Matt LaFleur called out Jordan Love and his teammates for lollygagging against the Lions in the first half of that game. So while he certainly looked good late, and you can't argue with that, the Cowboy playoff game was more about the Cowboys handing the game to the Green Bay football team. It wasn't so much that Jordan Love was clearly better than everyone else. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys were a bunch of stumble bums in that game. And then Green Bay did have a shot against the 49ers, as I recall. But if you look at all this, right, he needs more beta testing and all that stuff. And even though he looked good at the end of the year, as a result, the Packers said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bring Howie Mandel. We're going to bring him and the banker, and we're going to bring them to northern Wisconsin, where it's beautiful this time of the year. And then we'll play Deal or No Deal. And the Packers chose case number 10. And they're betting that case number 10 will be the right case, and now they're on a wing and a prayer. Because there is a dimension in the multiverse where Jordan Love comes out and urinates all over his pants, and the Packers are in a tough situation. But it's always a value when you sign the counter argument has been, well, it looks bad now, but you just wait in a couple years. Okay. So by that account, everyone should get paid all the time. You don't have to necessarily earn the money. But it's like, what are we doing here, right? It's is he a bargain? He's not a bargain right now. Maybe he'll turn out to be a bargain if he turns out to be good. Otherwise, he's an albatross. Now, page 2. We go to South Beach, where Weed Man Hippie still finds himself incarcerated over the weekend. And more on that later, because he would be part of the Malapalooza if he was free. He would have been part of it. But we focus in on the Miami football team. Is Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa good enough to win a Super Bowl? He got paid, right? He got paid. Is he good enough to actually be a Super Bowl quarterback? And so the answer is gummy. It's gummy. That's the answer here, because how do you evaluate the play of Tua Tagovailoa? How do you evaluate him? Because he doesn't elevate the people around him. That does not happen. And you know the answer. It's that classic Dr. Seuss line that sometimes the questions are complicated and then the answers are simple. Ergo, if you look at this, if the Dolphins defense and special teams, right, defense and special teams are on point. And when I say on point, they're going to have injuries, but the performance is there. Then Miami will have home field advantage. And if the Dolphins have home field advantage, then sure, there's a world where Tua Tagovailoa becomes a Super Bowl quarterback. But he's got to avoid playing at Kansas City, as we saw last year, Baltimore, or Buffalo. You got to throw in all those other cold weather cities that he could play in, and no cold weather games. We start with that. And we are not naive. We are not naive to the fact that over the last generation in the NFL, we have seen absolute turdburgers like Rex Grossman, Joe Flacco, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, Nick Foles, either go to the Super Bowl, some of them won the Super Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, and stood head and shoulders above everyone else in the NFL. And Tua's on that short list of guys. Well, everything's great around him, and he played in South Florida. And sure, why not? Right? Why not? However, again, I go back to my premise that in my world, and this is probably a me problem, not a Dolphin problem. When I was growing up, I was always told that you have to pay people who elevate their teammates the top dollar, right? That if you're not that person, you don't get that money, and times have changed. There's so much money in the NFL. They're like El Chapo. They're just burying money, right? And the old stories about him, they're just burying money. There's so much money. Like Tua hasn't shown up yet at the pro level in big games. That's established. But yet the Dolphins are paying him anyway. They had to. They had to pay him. He was doing a hold in. All right, now, final point. Toss-up question. Which quarterback between the two big free agent extension signings over the weekend, which quarterback, bigger gamble? Jordan Love or Tua Tagovailoa? So the answer, my first answer is C, none of the above. I'll start with that. None of the above. Both stories happened on Friday. Right? Both stories came out on Friday. That's known as the take out the trash day, the Friday news dump, which tells you that Dolphins and Packers are not proud. They're not boastful about these moves. They realize these are stupid moves, but they had to do it. And so they did it when they tried to do it to limit the amount of attention. So they did it on a Friday, the day of the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. Good luck. That is telling. Now, that said, both stories, both things happening at the same time, I'm going to give a slight lean to Jordan Love being a bigger gamble. And because if you look at Jordan Love, it's like visiting the barbershop and splitting hairs. It really is. This an entire answer. But Tua has shown to be a functional regular season good weather quarterback. Like, yeah, he can put up some big numbers if you're in fantasy football, get you all horny and all that. And he'll feast on some bad teams. And we saw we can run up the score and all that. Blessed with gigantic torpedoes, humongous torpedoes. And he's able to hit the bullseye on more occasions than not. And it does help that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are like Sephora, and they're makeup guys. They make up for a lot of the shortcomings of Tua Tagovailoa. They hide a lot of the blemishes and the imperfections of Tua. Now, the jury is still out on Jordan Love. At this point, until proven otherwise, he's a half-season guy. He played well in the second half of the season, but he's a half-season guy. Usually, and again, standards were different. Standards have gone down. I get it. I understand. That's the world we live in today, and hey, why not? But in the old days, Jordan Love would not have gotten paid this money. And of course, it would be related to the top dollar at that time. Obviously, the money is cartoonish at this particular point.